Howdy, Beeflabart here, and welcome back. Alright, so in the first two videos, what we've done is we've just kind of jumped in, got our feet wet, and I'm going to go ahead and load back into the lobby map, and I'm going to go ahead and select to run in selected viewport, and we have created our first character that's inside my multiplayer setup, and it will automatically, every time we log in, it will randomly pick between red, white, and blue for our characters to run around in. But as you see, this map is, there's nothing here. It's absolutely boring. You can run around and jump. Awesome. Okay, anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our first map. And we're going to start adding some functionality to it, so it's not just, ooh, look pretty. So there'll be something to do. STDs. Everybody loves STDs, right? There's something to do. So what we want to do is we want to come over here, and in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, we want to left-click on File. We want to come down to New Level, and it's going to give us three options: Empty, VR Basic, and Default. Now, I'm going to open up each one of these three, and we'll start from the right to left, just to be odd. And what you end up with is, well, nothing. There is nothing here, nothing to start off with. Nice. Okay, well, if we select Default, well, again, there's not much to look at, but we do have a sun, we do have a sky, we have clouds that move, we have lighting, we have a little platform we can start on. Cool. We can start building our own custom terrains and all that. Not yet. So, again, I'm going to go back to the middle one, which is VR_basic. And no, we're not going to make this a VR game. But at least this map right here, we have this big bowl we can run around in. And I'm going to go ahead and select play. And because we haven't set up anything else, why did it go directly to our menu? Well, I'm going to hit exit game, and now we're under the world. So let's scroll back up. Even though this right here, this is our character, our player start. You can see we've got all these different things right here. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to come over to my world settings. The game mode override, I'm going to go ahead and select that as third person game mode. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and save all. Okay? We haven't given our name, our map a name yet. We haven't saved it. We haven't done anything with it yet. So we're going to go ahead and save selected. And if it didn't already come up to the maps folder, go ahead and select the maps folder over here on the left. And then we're going to go ahead and give our map a name. We're going to call this Intro. So now this map is called Intro. And now when we hit play, now we can run around and we can kick cubes around. We can knock things over. We can move the ball around. We can knock these guys over. We can actually interact with the world a little bit. This should be fun for all of about 15 seconds. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and leave these guys in here. But the next thing I want to do, though, is in the effort to keep things clean, you have all the cubes. You can left click on it and you can see which ones they are, or you can click on it individually in the map and it'll highlight over here. We don't want to see all these here. We want to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to left click on Intro Editor. I'm going to right click and select Create Folder, and I'm going to call this misc space junk. Then I'm going to left click on the ball. I'm going to hold shift and left click on the bottom cube. Then I'm going to hit control and left click on pyramid. With all those now highlighted, I'm going to left click and drag them to miscellaneous junk. Minimize that, and now it gets them out of the main view. Well, let's get rid of all this other stuff right here too. We're going to go ahead and left click on Intro Editor, right click, Create Folder. You don't have to left click on it first, but main map junk. You can call these whatever you want. I'm just doing this to get them cleared. So all I did was I left click on the bottom one and shift left click on the top one there, and then left click and drag them into main map junk and minimize. Now we've got all this room so we can actually see what we're looking for. I want to find this. Well, I can manually select it. It's going to automatically open it up over here. And what we're going to do is, you see this bigger box that's out here. We're not going to worry about it just yet. We have this big bowl selected where we actually walk around and play on. So what we want to do is, while we have that selected, we're going to hold down Control, hit C, which is going to make a copy of it. Then hold down Control and V, and we just made a copy of it. You can see where it says Frozen Room 2 here. Now we've got these arrows, and what I want to do is I want to left click and drag on this green arrow. See, it'll turn yellow whenever I'm moused over it, and I'm going to slide it over. And now we can move this anywhere we want to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap them slightly, and there. So now we have two side-by-side versions of the same thing. Now if I want to be even more cool, I can, while I still have the new one selected, I can hold down Control key and left click on the other one, and now I have both of them selected. Control C and Control V again, and now we've just copied both of them. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to slide around and move around to where I can manually move these over, and I'm going to overlap them again to where they just line up. So now you can see we have some weird things going on right there. Don't worry about it. I'm going to click on the intro editor up here, so we have everything non-hidden. And now this other square, if we kind of click on the edge of it, get it to highlight, we see this is called light mass importance volume. What I want to do is I want to move this over. I want to center it up as best that I can on that. It's not going to cover the entire thing. And what that is it's going to improve the lighting and the way things look inside there. And now I want to select on this bar up here. This is for moving things left, right, up, and down. The next one over is for rotating. The next one over is for scaling. Select that, and you can start dragging these around a little bit so that you can actually make them cover all of the interior areas. There we go. Now I'm going to hit play again. You see how you have this, and the blue character looks really weird whenever you get on it, and you see there's some weird effects going on. Those are post-process. I'm going to hit escape again. I'm going to come over here, select the post-process, hit the delete key, and get rid of that. Now it's going to darken it up a little bit, and to me I think the lighting looks a lot better this way. So we've created this 4-square environment. How do we get from point A to point B to point C? Well, the first way we can do that is we can move these blocks over and kind of form a stair if we want to, or we can actually create our own stair system to get up there. Again, we're not going to sit here and do useless junk. We want to put things in so you can learn. I'm going to come over here to this window and select geometry. You have spiral, linear, and curved stairs. Well, what I want to do, and these are called BSP geometries, I'm going to left click and drag the stairs in. Awesome. Well, I don't want them in that direction, so I want to click on the rotate, and it's kind of hard to see here because the material on this item right here is all reflective. So we want to use this leg right here and then left click on it and move the mouse to rotate it. The other option is to come over here and manually type in 90, and we have moved it to 90 degrees. Well, these stairs are not going to be high enough to get us over there. We can still move them around. You can see when we're working with a BSP geometry, we can move it around, and you see it creates a wireframe of it as we move it. That's cool. When we let go of it, it'll actually draw it in there. So let's go ahead and hit the scale button here. And what we want to do is we want to scale it vertically and horizontally. Now, these stairs are going to be a little bit awkward, so we're going to want to go ahead and move them over just a little bit. And then we'll come back to our scale button and want them to just touch. And look kind of dorky here, so let's actually move it over just a little bit more. And we want to scale it again. So we make our stairs just a little bit wider. Now, we can play around with it, adjust the height, the size, everything else. You know, messing with the scale. Now, they're going to snap. If you want to turn off that snapping so you can get more precise, I'm on scaling right now, so I want to come over to here and left click here to make this not orange. And now, as I'm scaling it, I have a bit more control over the placement of it and the height of it. So we can, again, if you turn it back on, it'll snap again. I'm going to move it one more time. Just kind of play around with it to get it to where I want. And you're going to have to move your camera around here and there to get to where you're happy with it. So I'm going to hit play, and you see we've created a set of stairs. Well, stairs are not quite good enough. We're not going to be able to walk up and down these stairs. Can't quite get up there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to adjust the number of stairs. So I'm going to find my stairs over here, and well, we know these are our frozen rooms. Well, this hasn't been assigned to anything yet, so we got a linear stair brush. Now we can come over here. We have number of steps. We can adjust that. We can move the slider. Well, that's going to increase the number of steps that way. And it's probably not a bad way to go. So let's actually scale it back. And you can make your adjustments that way. And again, you're probably going to have to undo your snapping on your scaling. What you'll want to do is just, I've created it at 18. Let's see what 18 looks like. Well, now it's too high. What we need to do now is left click on it. Actually, we want to select it over here. Go to our movement. And move it down. And let's try it again. Are these stairs more realistic? Yes, we can actually use these stairs. You can fiddle around with it, make it as neat and cool as you want. But you see they have that checkerboard pattern. There's no material put to it. So you can select the face of it by left clicking manually on it. But what I want to do is I want to left click on the face, and then I can control left click on each of the faces. And as you're doing that, you're going to have to manually select each and every one of those faces on the front. And by selecting these, and you can move around as you need to, control left click, because we're trying to get just the faces of these stairs selected. Now we need to assign a material to it. So while we have that selected, well, we don't have any materials to add. What are we going to do? Well, we need some materials. We need some other starter content to work with. So what I want to do is I want to click on the big green Add New button, come up to the top, Add Features or Content Pack, select that, come over here to Content Packs, select the starter content, and add to project. It's going to take a couple seconds, and what it's going to do is it's going to add all this new content to your project. The reason why I didn't include that in there is I wanted to keep the file size small and easier to download. So now once it's done all that, you can go ahead and hit the X and close that up, and it has added in some new not BSP geometries, but new things that we can work with, which is awesome because we have some walls, floors, pillars, platform. We have some audio to mess around with. Some new blueprints. Well, we'll work on those later and look at those later. New maps. Not really worried about these maps. In fact, what we can do is go ahead and left click on, or right click on it, and select delete. And then delete again. We don't need their maps. We're going to make our own stuff. It's going to take a few seconds. Don't worry about it. It's normal. And then once this window comes up, just go ahead and select delete. That's going to get rid of some file size. But what we're looking for is our materials. Now, we have all these different materials we can choose from. Well, I want to use a nice wood color, so we're going to go with oak. I'm going to left click on it to select it. Then on my surface materials, there's an arrow right here. I'm going to click it. Now, what that should have done, and it did, is it made all the faces that we had selected have that wood texture to it. So now we can do the same thing here and left click, control left click on each of the top portions of our stairs. And you can make them all separate if you wanted to. They don't all have to be the same color. And if you miss click, yeah, it sucks. You have to go back over and do it again. But the option is you can come over here. Well, let's see. Let's give my stairs, the top of them, a different texture. So now I can select the one that I want and then select here. But if you notice, the wood paneling is going in a weird direction. So I'm going to left click on it again, and I'm going to come over to here, and I'm going to scroll down, select rotate 90, and now whenever I look at it again, it's rotated the boards by 90 degrees. Now if you want to get really picky, you can actually move them left and right and up and down. You can spend a lot of time trying to get it perfect. We're not worried about it. We just want to get our first map going. So you can either left click on the face. You already have your material picked. Left click, paste. But what we see is it's every time we're going to have to come back over here and rotate it by 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and control left click and pick all of these faces again. And yes, it can be tedious at times. You don't really have to do the entire thing. I mean, it's entirely up to you, but there we go. But by doing it, we can rotate all of them all at the same time. But now what you end up with is you have all these individual side layers as well. Well, again, this is something you can play with on your own time, selecting all of them. Now, once you have it done, if you just want to make another copy of these stairs, and that's what we're going to do here in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and select these last couple pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and I want it to be, oh, I don't care. We're going to make it gold. This is going to be a horrible looking map. But as you see, the other side's going to be undone. So let's go ahead and do it as well. Might as well get it over with. And you have to be cautious here because you don't want to select the wrong walls or anything else. Oh, great. So we have our hideous stairs. Let's go ahead and hit play. We'll take a look at it. Isn't that terrible? Again, doesn't really matter all that much, but we can use these stairs now to access the next side. What you don't want to do is you don't want to fall off. And we'll finish off with if you got that one friend, I'm not going to mention your names, Tom, Tom, that if you give him a chance to fall off the map, he's gonna, and it's just gonna ruin everything. Then he's got to exit the game, and whatever. So we're going to create a way of keeping your buddies from falling out the map. But I'm going to left click on my stairs, Control C, Control V. I'm going to move it over, select my rotation. Well, we already rotated at 90 degrees, so we're going to do 90, but we're going to do negative 90. And then we're going to go ahead and move it around. And what you can do is line it up this way, overlapping a little bit. It's actually pretty good. It's not bad for, just random chance. Then move it around so that it kind of lines up as well. All right. So again, we can actually select both of them if you want to. And Control C, Control V. And we're just going to copy and paste. And we're going to drag them over here. Put them wherever you want. Now, that's cool. We have stairs to get back and forth on. And, well, how do you get from this side to this side? Well, we could just sit there and keep doing stairs. That'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and select these guys and put them in miscellaneous junk. We don't want to have to rely on the stairs all the time, right? So now I can use the stairs. I can come up here. I can go down here. But we want to have a different way of getting over that wall. So let's do that. Let's be different. But first, let's go ahead and create our boundary to keep our knuckleheads from falling out the map. So over here on this side, you've got all these different things you can actually put in here. And you got level bounds. Let's try level bound. Actually, not what I'm looking for. So you can scroll through, and you got your basic, which is your basic stuff like a point light or an empty pawn or a sphere or a cube, a cone, planes, triggers, that kind of stuff. Select lights, and you can have different lighting you can add here and there. Cinematic, visual effects, geometries, volumes. And we want a blocking volume is what we want. So we're going to drag that, and for right now we're going to put it right here. And what we're going to do is try to line it up so that it's as close to the middle as possible. Use our scale tool and scale left and right to where it actually will go all the way to the edge. Doesn't matter if it goes off. It's not a big deal. But now we want to drag the height of it up a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and move it up. But one thing we do want to have on here is we want to make sure that we have every inch of the map area playable. So what I like to do is just get it right there at the edge. And then bring it down just a hair so that it goes just below, but it's right there on the edge. So we use as much as we can of the map. And then we're going to hit Control C, Control V. And then we're going to drag the new version, which is automatically selected, over so that we can line it up with the other side wall. And then we're going to hit Control C, Control V, and then we're going to come over here and select our manual rotation. We're going to rotate that 90 degrees. And now we're going to rotate that or move that over so that it covers the other side wall. This should help. Control C, Control V, with keeping your players stuck inside this area so they don't fly out of the map. And if you really want to tighten things up to where you know they're not going to get out, you can go ahead and drag in another blocking volume to the dead center of your map and go ahead and scale it out so that it covers every bit of your map. And then you can use this as a ceiling and raise it up. You don't want it to extend past your other one. So now you actually have a way of locking your players in to keep them from falling off the map. They can run over to the edge all they want. They're just not going to fall off, and they're not going to fly out. So what we're going to do to finish off this is we're going to create something that I like to add in my maps for just the pure entertainment of it. We're going to add in a catapult or a launching system. So what I want to do is I want to come up with, I don't know, you got all kind of different models to choose from, but what I want to do is come over here to my content. I want to come over here and I want to be in the root folder. I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call this assets. And go inside of that folder and make another folder called map assets. And now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a blueprint class actor, and we're going to call this launcher underscore BP. We're going to go into it and we're going to create our first custom cool item. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have it to where I can select back and forth. Now, I want to add my very first component, and I'm going to left click on add component. We're going to select the cube, and there we go. We now have a cube. But we don't want to use it as the cube itself. So we want to go ahead and do the scaling on it. And I'm going to manually select scaling, and I'm going to select 2.5 tab 2.5 tab 0.2. And now we just made it this little flat piece, and I want to move it up just a hair. Again, with snapping on, it may not put it directly on the floor. It's kind of hard to see the grid here, but we can tinker with that later. So now we have this little platform, and I want to give it something besides that white color, so I can come over to the materials and I can manually scroll through this way by using the drop down box. This is one way to do it. The other way to do it is to actually come back over and come to your starter content folder, select materials, scroll through and find one you like. I'm going to use the M underscore tech underscore hex underscore text underscore whatever. I'm going to select this one right here. I know this one's going to have a nice cool effect to it. I'm going to left click on it to select it. I'm going to come back over here, and then where the materials section is, I'm going to click on that arrow, and there we go. It just gave it this nice pulsing color changing little platform. I'm going to hit compile and save. We're going to go into the map. We're going to go back into our map asset folder, and now we can go ahead and set this in a map. And the size that I ended up choosing, it fits pretty well inside these cubes. So now we can place it wherever we want to, make our adjustments, get it just perfect if we need to, turn off snapping so we can slide it and get it just perfect. Yeah, doesn't matter. But get it where you want. I'm going to turn my snapping back on. But if we go into the game and play, we come over here, we see we have it. We can walk on it. It doesn't do anything yet. So let's make it do something. So we're going to go back into, and we're going to add in another component. Cube is already selected, but we're going to go ahead and add component. We're going to type in box, and then we're going to come up with box collision. And then we're going to just rename this trigger. And you see you've got the arrow. You can scroll up. You see it's small. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and rescale it manually if we want to. I want to scale it up. But I'm going to go ahead and do 2 is too big. So we'll do 1.5, which is too big. 1.3. That should be good. By 1.3 by 10. That sounds lovely. So we've left it in the center. So now whenever somebody steps on this, this is going to create an effect. So now with that trigger selected, I want to come over here and I want to scroll down. And you've got a bunch of different options with these green things here. On hit, on begin overlap, on component begin overlap. This is the one we actually want, the second option. On component begin overlap. I'm going to left click on that. It's going to, boom, bring us right into our event graph. I'm going to scroll around. I'm going to highlight these other 3 things that are here and delete. I'm going to get rid of them. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is, before we get carried away, I'm going to go ahead and compile and save. We need to open our player character back up. I'm going to minimize our starter content. Go into the characters, player, blueprints, and open up player base. And we need to create a variable. And we're going to go ahead and create this new variable called launch pad. Compile, save, come back to our launcher blueprint. Alright, so on this right here, this node, we want to drag out from the other actor pin and let go. And what we're wanting to do is cast to player underscore base. Okay. Now, we may or may not need that, but we're going to use it anyway. In fact, we're going to be a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and delete that. And we're going to create it as a custom event. We're going to right click, custom event, launch player, or we can call it launch pad or puppy poop. I don't care what you call it. You call it whatever you want to call it. You can always come back up here and change the name of it. It is, it doesn't matter on the replication on this. It should work just fine. But under Launchpad, we've created that custom event, compile and save. And then let's try it this way. I've done it a couple different ways, but we want to just try it this way. Launch character, and it's going to select self, and we have our launch velocity. We're going to come back to that, but we're going to go ahead and hit compile and save, come back to our launcher blueprint, and now as player underscore base, we want to left click off from this node, and we want to, we can do launch character here, but we're going to run the custom event. I kind of want you to get in the habit of creating custom events for things. And we'll try this to see if this works, and if it doesn't, then I'll go back and I'll do it a different way. So a lot of things you can do is trial and error. But inside the player, we can now make the adjustments here. I'm going to I'm going to set this to 500. Okay, and compile, save. Then I'm going to go back into our map, and let's give that a try. We'll come up over our stairs. Now, as soon as we walk over the top of it, it's launching us. Not very much. So 500 is not really enough for us. Let's go ahead and change that number to 1000. Compile, save, go back into our map, and this is going to be a trial and error and see what you like for your height. Maybe the pad's too close to the wall. Well, 1000 is not going to be enough. So we'll raise it a little bit more. We'll come up to 1500. And yes, you could be silly and throw it at 10,000 if you want to. So now whenever you walk over it, it'll give you just enough to get you over the wall. So now you can run around and do your thing. So we'll come back over here and do it again. And since we put a ceiling on, what happens if you do put it too high? It'll just slam your head against the ceiling. You'll bounce off. So now we can take our launch pad, Control C, Control V, and let's go ahead and put one over here. And then I'm going to Control left click to grab the other one. Control C, Control V, and I'm going to put it on the other side of the wall as well. Lovely. Now we have 4 launch pads. We can come over here and jump over the wall. So now you have something to do. Now, what good is this? Well, it is kind of fun to do and jump around and that kind of stuff. Plus, you have stairs you can run around and do. Honestly, whenever you start adding in guns and things like that, then it actually can add a whole new element of fun. Alright, so again, we can take our blocking volumes, left click, move those to main map junk, our launcher blueprints. We can move this into miscellaneous junk and clean up our stuff. So, okay, we have created our map. Next thing we want to do is select Save All, Save Selected, Save Current. Let's go ahead and close out these 2 windows. Now, the last thing I want to cover to wrap up this video, so you can share this with your buddies and you guys can play together. That way you don't have to keep playing with yourself. We want to do something, and the way that I've got my system set up, unfortunately, you can change it, but I want you to get in the habit of doing this so that, again, it's a matter of keeping things clean. If you look in your maps folder, you want to go ahead and left click and do it a couple times or whatever, or you can hit F2 just so you can have it selected, and Control C so you can copy the name of your map. Okay, we're going to come over to our UI folder, widgets folder, and inside the main menu _W, we want to go ahead and select the graph, and in the make server area, we want to scroll in and look for something called open level. We want to select that, and we want to paste in the name of our map. That's called intro. And you're going to scroll over here to the single player button, scroll in, select it, paste that in. This is why we put the comment blocks around our different sections of code. So now we can see what's what and where we need to put these things. So now I hit compile and save. I'm going to close that back up again. Now I'm going to go back to our maps, and I'm going to go to our main menu map. I'm going to go ahead and select the arrow next to the play button and select standalone game. And I'm going to test this real quick to make sure that it works. It's going to run a copy of our game. It's going to bring us up to our main menu. And as soon as our main menu comes up, we can go ahead and select single player and go into the game. Lovely, it's here. Our jump pad works. Awesome. Hit escape, go back to our main menu, go to our multiplayer, host, give us a lovely, lovely game name, hit make so we can create a multiplayer. Okay, we know that it works. So, go back to our main menu, exit. Now, what I want to do is I want to come into my hard drive somewhere in a place where we can keep tabs of where everything is. And I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call it Fresh Start, whatever the name of my map was. I'm going to go into that folder. I'm going to go back into Unreal Engine 4. I am going to select Edit, Project Settings. I'm going to select Packaging. Now I'm going to scroll down to where you see Packaging, and there's an arrow right here. You want to Show Advanced, and now scroll down. This is where you can add your localization packages and all kind of other cool stuff. But what we're wanting to look for is list of maps to include in a packaging build. If you have 30 maps, but you only want the player to have and download and get just the ones that are there, then this is where you can do that, because maps can get large and increase your file size. Well, you've got two. You've got the main menu map and the lobby map. We're going to leave the lobby map out this time. We're going to change it because we don't care about the lobby map anymore. So when we click on these three dots, it's going to ask us to find the location of where our game is. So we want to go to our documents, My Documents, Unreal Projects. We want to find our program in here, which I call mine Fresh Start. We want to go into the Content folder, Maps folder, and then we want to find the map. Mine is called intro.umap. And then we want to select Open. And now, the only two maps we're going to have is the main menu map and the intro map. It's automatically saved. You don't have to do anything else. You just go ahead and close this window down. Now, what we want to do is go ahead and select File, Package Project, scroll down to Windows, come to Windows 64-bit, and select that. And now select the location of where you want to put your game. The folder that we just created, mine called Fresh Start. Select the folder, then select Folder. It's going to begin packaging. It's going to take a couple minutes to go through and package up everything. While it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and this is video 2 that I just finished doing the upload or the editing on, and I will have it uploaded here very shortly. But if you're watching this and you've already watched the other video, so leave me alone. Stop bugging me. So I would just let this thing do its thing. And whenever it gets done, we want to do a quick test. You always want to test your stuff out before you send it off to your buddies, and then they find out that something's not working. Well, why can't I join? Or why is my brain purple? Or whatever. You know, you don't know what the hell's going on. So test it before you send it out to your buddies, and that way you have a little bit of heads up. I've forgotten to change the map to include the project. And I've packaged it up, I sent it off, and then go through the process of uploading it to Google Drive, and what's going on? Ah, crap. And if you've got slow internet, it may take 30, 45 minutes to an hour or more to upload your project to Google Drive, and only to find out that you did it wrong. So it doesn't take very long to go into your game, play it as a standalone, and see what happens. And then test single player, test multiplayer, and then go ahead and use WinZip or WinRAR or whatever, or 7-zip, package it up, throw it on Google Drive, and send it to your buddies. All right, so packaging is complete. I'm going to go back to my hard drive and my File Explorer. Now, the one thing that I do is it's packaged inside the no editor folder. I don't really care for that. So I go into there, I grab these files, right click, drag, drop, move here. You can also left click and drag it over. And then I delete the Windows no editor folder. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't matter. I'm just weird. But now I can double click on it, and it's gonna, if your firewall detects anything, you can just allow access. Not a big, huge deal. So now when you go into it, you can actually play. There we go. But it is kind of boring. But we'll add some flair to the game later. This is just to get us in here doing something you can share with your buddies. We know that it works. All right, so hopefully you saw that. I'm not sure if OBS picked that up or not. But do your quick test, get it over with, and then select your folder. I'm going to right click on mine since I use WinRAR. I'm going to select Add to Fresh Start RAR. Let it go ahead and package up. Doesn't take very long because it's not a very big folder. I mean, we're not building a huge game at this point. And now you can distribute this to your friends. And the actual thing is 127 megabytes. You can actually go to Google Drive, select New, File Upload, find where you saved it to, and go ahead and upload it so your buddies can grab a hold of it and play it. So once that's done, then all you'd have to do is, if you're using Google Drive, right click on Get Shareable Link, and link copies over to the clipboard, but you can also just left click on it there, Control C, and then Control V to paste it into where your buddies can actually play it. Just give them the link and say, hey, guys, check this out. And you're good to go. All they've got to do is extract it, run it. They don't have to install anything. They just need to extract it. All right, this has been a long-winded video, so I'm going to leave it here. And next video, we'll add some more functionality to it. If you have any questions, join me on my Discord. If you are a Patreon and you've purchased the simple multiplayer template to go along with this, then you're going to have direct access to a VIP only area, which is going to be called the the Patreon area. Then yeah, you'll be able to ask me questions directly and I'll answer them. All right, guys, thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed that video as long as it is. But we'll see you on the next one.